Hello indie game fans, my love affair with the run and gun platformer began with Gunstar Heroes and Metal Slug in arcades, and they do conjure up great memories, so here are the top 10 best indie games in the genre that will create even more great memories for you. We begin with a double whammy of nostalgia with Broforce being a chaotic, all-action, hype-bro version of this concept. This has you playing in essentially an 80s action movie with broified versions of all your favourite heroes from the era like Rambo, Terminator and more. I like how aggressively dumb this is, with the developers working bro into the name of every character, and with this game being an unapologetic explosion of every 80s kid's fantasy. There have been a number of free updates, adding even more characters, mechanics and levels, and as a side note, this developer has gone on to make some fantastic indie games as well.
It's not over! It's never over!
Another retro title is Super Cyborg, which reminds me a lot of classic Contra in terms of art and animation. As is the case with many of these, there's little to no plot, where you play as an elite cyborg who has to investigate some anomalies on a mysterious island, and of course, it's aliens, and you have to blast your way out. So retro in a great way, so one to check out. This pick may be a little controversial, but Cuphead is worth a mention since it is a fantastic action platformer with memorable boss fights, but does also have run and gun sections as well. Many people think that these sections were added in to the detriment of the game, but I do enjoy the variety, and of course, the gorgeous art is the key highlight. An interesting pixel art entry from 2014 is Super Time Force Ultra, using time manipulation to great effect. Play as an ever-growing squad of time-travelling agents where you're able to rewind time at any point and respawn as a new character, fighting alongside your previous character, which quickly leads to chaos. As such, it gets rather busy visually with a ton of projectiles on screen, but the 19 playable characters are neat, and it's a little bit more cerebral than your usual fare in the genre. An insane action title from last year is My Friend Pedro, where you play as unlicensed Deadpool with a sentient banana as your guide and egging you on to murder anyone in your way. This is a violent ballet of destruction as your character twirls, whirls and spins, causing maximum amounts of damage in the process. This has quite an interesting control scheme which has a bit of a learning curve, but feels great once you get used to it. I like the ingenuity of the action, of being able to throw a frying pan into the air, shoot at it, and having the resulting bullets ricocheting and killing enemies, and a title that you cannot miss.
Inhuman. Relentless. Unstoppable. You have only one purpose. Murder.
Before Carrion, developer Phobia Game Studio was involved in making the fantastic Butcher, one of my favorite games from 2016.
Use lethal weaponry.
It gives off the same vibe as Doom, but as a side-scrolling platformer, and is one of the most satisfying games that I have played.
To cleanse the earth of human vermin.
I love the pixel art, having interesting, simple character models but gorgeous environments, and another overlooked gem that you should play.
Exterminate them all.
Enter a future where crime rules the streets. When the citizens are in trouble, they call the authorities. When the authorities are in trouble, they call the bounty hunters.
Showtime!
Many of you lamented the fact that I left off HUNTDOWN from my best looking pixel art games video, and now that I have taken a closer look, I do have to agree.
John Sawyer, Cyborg. He's been a man since he was a boy.
A gorgeous pixel art run and gun platformer, this has 3 playable characters, fantastic cityscapes, fun bosses, and oozing all sorts of style.
Horror has a name. It's Mo-Man. But those who stand in the killer machine's path know him by the name Grim Reaper.
Why don't they just sterilize the population?
You're hunting down criminal gang leaders as bounty hunters, with some unique and interesting enemy factions.
Batter up, strike.
You may hunt down those who have it coming.
Get up, do your job!
Too bad they all have it coming. The Hoodlum Dolls. Yeah. The Misconducts. The Heat Seekers. The #1 suspect.
There is also a dodge mechanic, where you're able to hide in crevices to avoid damage, so a variant on the theme, but highly recommended nonetheless.
Welcome aboard, sir.
Go away, robot.
I take every chance that I get to shout out Rive, Wreck, Hack, Die, Retry, a wonderful smaller game that deserves more attention. This is a unique combination of shoot 'em up and platformer, with an intuitive control scheme which just works, where you get stuck on a mysterious starship and have to fight your way out. While there are puzzle-ish elements, like hacking enemies and using their abilities, when the action is on, it's on, and just feels fantastic to play.
I don't see why.
If you love the genre and have not tried this, I would strongly recommend this game. The heavy metal, all-action Broforce has been fantastic, where you return to the titular fortress planet, seeking revenge on your father. From the overall vibe that it conveys, from the weapons, how enemies explode in a shower of gore, and the designs of the environments, this screams awesome and is one of the most fun run and gun experiences that I have had. This is coupled with an interesting risk-reward checkpoint system, and since launch, the Full Metal mode with New Game Plus has been added, so great time to jump back in. Just talked about Blazing Chrome from Brazilian developer Joy Masher, and this absolutely nails that run and gun genre. I talked about Metal Slug and Gunstar Heroes in the intro, with the other huge missing franchise being Contra, and this game is more or less a 1:1 analog of Contra Hardcore. It's old school tough with a classic lives and continuous base system, but just looks so awesome, taking the #1 spot. To see more of the big picture, check out these awesome videos, and I will see you after the jump.